Hello, my name is Diane, and today I'm going to talk about the books I read in July. It's going to be a short one. I really didn't read that much, or at least I didn't finish reading that much. I have 3 graphic novels to talk about. One of them I didn't finish, and the other 2 I did. So, starting with the one I DNF'd, I read The Umbrella Academy, Volume 3, Hotel Oblivion. This is by Gerard Way. And I didn't really love the first 2 volumes. Something about the way they were written just felt a little choppy to me. I felt like things just weren't going together, like switching between the characters and just the way information was presented just really wasn't working for me. And I do like the idea of this story. Like, I like the premise. It's about children who are born under very strange circumstances, and a number of them are adopted by this man who trains them. They each have a specific superpower of their own, and he's training them to one day be superheroes, basically, and save the world. And through each one, we follow a specific adventure of them dealing with some villain or some catastrophe. And I like the idea of them, but I just didn't really like the way they were written. I didn't love the art style, and I didn't love the pacing. There were just a lot of little things that were fine, but weren't really working for me. And then altogether, once I got into this third one, I just really wasn't invested in what was going on, so I stopped reading it. Even though this was the last volume, so I could have finished it for the sake of finishing it, but I really wasn't enjoying myself throughout the whole series, so I figured why keep reading it? So then I read volumes 2 and 3 of the Dragon Age graphic novels, which are Those Who Speak and Until We Sleep. These are written by David Gaider, who is or was the lead writer on the Dragon Age video games, which is what these are spin-offs of, these graphic novels. I really like those video games. They're fantasy RPGs. They're very big worlds with lots of characters that have their own stories, side characters that you encounter and can have join you as your companions, and you have some big threat to the world that you're up against. You play as a different hero in every game. I think they're a lot of fun. So I wanted to finally read some of the graphic novels. There are a number of graphic novels and books that are written around this series by people who have worked on the series, and I don't think all of them are written by people who have worked on the series, but these ones in particular were, and they follow 3 of the companion characters, at least these particular volumes did. Alistair, Isabella, and Varric. If you played the games, you'll know these characters. And they are trying to figure out what happened to Alistair, who is now king, what happened to his father, and a little bit more about the history of this place. I thought these were fine. I didn't like them as much as I was hoping I would, having these being some of my favorite video games. I was expecting to like them a bit more, but something about, I don't know if it was the writing specifically, the story specifically, or just the dynamic of these 3 characters, just didn't have quite the same appeal, the same charm as the video games. There's a lot of banter between the characters in all of the video games, even though you're up against some pretty scary stuff. The way the characters interact is usually very entertaining, and the dynamics they have between each other, and I just didn't love the conversations as much in this compared to in the games. I don't know, I have been thinking about it a lot, and I haven't quite put my finger on what exactly felt different about these, especially since it is a writer who worked on the games, who worked on a large part of the games, actually, and I don't know, it just didn't have the same feeling as the writing in the games and the way the characters interact and what was going on. I don't know. They were fine. I enjoyed them, but I wasn't especially invested in what was happening. So there are a bunch more graphic novels and a few novels. I don't think I'm going to read them, having tried these ones. I think if you're a Dragon Age fan and you want a little bit more of the world and these characters and you haven't heard of these, they're worth checking out. But for me, they were just fine. Other than that, last month I was doing try a chapter for a bunch of books that are on my TBR to see if I still have interest in them. So I read the beginnings of a bunch of books. I also read the beginnings of some of the books that were on my August TBR, which is the video I posted last week if you want to know what's on that. So I've been reading little bits of books, but I haven't finished anything else since the beginning of July. So still making reading progress, just not a whole lot to talk about today in terms of what I finished in July. So that's all for me today. Let me know what you read in July. If there's anything specific that you really enjoyed, I'd love to hear about that. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.